had a kind of lifelong interest in comedy and comedians, as some of you may know. And I think the most fascinating part of that to me is the darkness of it rather than the yucks and the laughs. I think in Flannery O'Connor said at one time that in all good comedy is always a matter of life and death. There's always something dark and sinister and sometimes kind of frightening beneath great comedy or even good comedy. And so I'm going to read some poems having to do with sort of that area. And the first one is about a comedian by the name of Milton Berle. Some of you may remember Milton Berle. He was Mr. Television in the early days, and he came out of vaudeville and was a genius, basically, at vaudeville-style comedy. And one of the things about stand-up comedians is this strange relationship they have with an audience. Some of you may have, there was a Jerry Seinfeld, you may know, after he finished his show, went back into stand-up comedy, felt compelled to somehow re-enter that arena of club stand-up comedy. And they did a documentary on this, and I sort of suspected what came out of it, but actually seeing it was really chilling. It was like a gladiator going into the arena. It wasn't like somebody who's going to bring merriment to it. And that notion, the best thing you can do as a comedian is to kill the audience. I killed him tonight. I killed him. I knocked him dead. And there's this strange sort of hostility that's going on in the comedian there, and his audience, he wants to please, he wants them to love him, and he wants to kill them at the same time, and so this has to do with Milton when he had his TV show, and he used to do a lot of vaudeville shtick, and he did a particular variation on the old don't say this word in front of this guy skit, whatever you do, don't say makeup, and every time you would say makeup, this midget would come out with a huge powder puff and yell makeup and slap him in the face with it, and there'd be this big cloud of stuff, and everybody would laugh. And of course, he always says, well, why shouldn't I say makeup? Makeup! I mean, every time I say makeup, he's wow. So, and he used to come out and drag to get laughs, which was, 50s humor was also Monty Python humor too. So it was not completely unhip. And one of his sort of verbal takes was to say in kind of lispy fashion, I will kill you a million times. That was one of his signature lines. So with all that prelude, here it is. Makeup! Yells the midget, who whaps him in the kisser with a giant powder puff, and, emerged from the still expanding cloud, he shoots his classic take at us, this time through a mask of talc, his rouge lips pouting, his drag smock pulled askew. It's vaudeville shtick, ancient, laid on thick as cream, shoveled high as that frowsy bouffant. He holds the pose, sweating for the laughs to ebb. He needs to bring the house down every night to kill us, to knock us dead. Finally, he hits his mark and, batting opera lashes, lisps, I will kill you a million times. The slapstick is a sort of staple of old comedy and some new comedy. I mean, there's always this notion that we get this particular jubilation out of seeing somebody get the crap knocked out of him, the comedian or Wile E. Coyote or whoever it is, and so this has to do with that kind of darkness about comedy. This is called Fall Guys. Baby Leroy was a character in W.C. Field's movies. He was a little kid, and W.C. Field hated kids. That was part of the comedy, and he was always wanting to whack Baby Leroy whenever he was around. Baby Leroy was always putting roller skates in his way and knocking him down. And Hagen Hag, for those of you who don't imbibe, is a kind of scotch. Fall Guys. It's been hell all day, and we're ready for a little fun. And here comes Fields up for a big breakfast of Haig and Haig, about to meet the roller skate Baby Leroy left on the dining room floor. Better yet, here's Keaton shoving off in that new-built do-it-yourself yacht he thinks is going to take him somewhere. Or how about Stan and Ollie trying to get a grip on the concert grand they've got to lug clear up that bluff? This is going to be good. Real good. We rubberneck it from our chairs like when we slow poke by a car wreck. Only this time we get to see the crash too. Thanks to the easy math involved. Fool plus breathing equals pain and or shame. We've learned it by heart. Remember that little twinge before our foot slipped, before our boat turned belly up. But now the laugh's on those guys, like a bad case of hives. And you just tell us this: if they're so rich, why ain't they smart?